Now, I'm going to not criticise myself, I'm going to contradict myself. I've said we have to shift to this e-learning platform, but, and I can hear you saying it, but how can we do that? Because dental education's practice-based. It requires practical work. It's a practical-based discipline, same as what some medical disciplines are. So the answer's down the bottom, blend, and I know you're doing that. Blend your practice-based discipline with the use of new technologies. So blended learning is probably what you're going to be doing. And that means that you look at your course like I mentioned before, and you don't just look at it and say, how can I make this more effective and more efficient? But you say, what part of this course can I take out of its current traditional situation and put it into another way, a better way in which students can access it? Is it going to be a videotape of some clinical training I've done? Is it going to be some other area, the digital area, where students can learn more effectively and more efficiently? That's what we mean by blended learning. The biggest message I want to give you today probably is that start with something simple. Don't try and, if you're just getting onto Blackboard, whatever, don't try and do it all at once. Don't put pressure on yourself. Select a lecture, a lab, a video or something, and just try that first. And if you see your colleagues with a whole lot of material on Blackboard, don't panic that you're behind. You're not behind. You're only using what's best for you. I'm a hopeless person when it comes to time organisation. So I do things that fit me, whereas a person in the office next door to me, he's a lot better. But I'm not. Don't be pressured by what people are putting on you. Don't be pressured by keeping up with the person that's next door. Do it in your own time. There's no real big deal about rushing into it. And my advice is not to rush into it. Only put up one lecture, one lab, one whatever, one assessment package, because what you'll find, go back to that story I said about my journey, you'll take a journey forward, but then you'll go back a bit, because students will give you feedback on what could be improved. If you put it all out in one, you do all this hard work, and the students say, oh, Geoff, this is wrong, or that's wrong, we don't like this, you've blown it. Do it bit by bit, get them to say, Geoff, I say to my students, tell me what is best for you. Tell me what in this package I've got is wrong or could be improved. They are going to be your biggest helpers. Besides the people in the e-learning centre, they are your best helpers. Your students are going to be the ones that, because they're the users of the product. So always start with something simple. There's obstacles you're going to come across. These are my obstacles that I had. There were at my University of Western Australia, where I come from, and the word medical there requires for the faculty. Medical faculty includes medicine, dentistry and health sciences. Our university is about the top 110 or something in the world. It's a research institution. It's a teaching institution, but we get all our money, all our funding from research grants. So if you're a faculty member, you're there to get large grants and do research. And then you do your teaching with that as well. So you teach what you research. If you're now starting off to, like I was, starting off to do e-learning, that's an obstacle. It was for me. When my head of school said to me, Geoff, I want you to invent some way of better teaching histology more efficiently and more effectively, I said, but what's going to happen to my research? I said, this is going to take me a lot of time. I'm not going to get my research grants. I'm not even going to get promoted, because in those days I was a middle-ranked academic. Our university didn't get any credit for teaching. No credit for, they gave you minimal credit, but you could not get promoted on your teaching attributes. It had to be research. So that was a big obstacle for me. It may not be for you, but there's probably other obstacles you have here that you can identify. I got over my obstacles. I just said, righto, because I have a passion for teaching. I love teaching. I decided, look, I'm going to do this. And I did it, and I admit that, as I said before, I went back in my journey. It gave me some health problems, I'm sure. But I'm glad I did it in the end. I'm glad I surmounted that particular obstacle. I didn't have faculty support. We had very few opportunities for professional development because it wasn't around those days. You're very lucky for two reasons. One is you have the people in the e-learning centre to help you, and in each college you have people to help you. They're crying out to come and help you put material on your blackboards, etc. I didn't have that. And the other thing is, you're in the clinics, you're seeing your patients, you don't have time to drop everything and suddenly go to a professional development course. That's another obstacle. So I don't think you have both those because of the reasons that I mentioned about your support staff. There's several other barriers you're bound to have. One is that we have this obstacle being that we have to give lectures, we have to run lab pracs, we have to do clinical training, etc. They're the obstacles. And I'm not going to offer any solution how you get around those obstacles. I'm just asking you to identify the obstacles and work out how you're actually going to get over them. And it's not impossible. When I said to you that you don't have those problems for two reasons, I mentioned the e-learning centre, you have each other as well. Your biggest colleagues in going this next revolutionary step is first of all your students, the e-learning centre people, but it's going to be each and every one of you. Luckily, you're all going through the same revolution together. When I went through my change, people said to within our school, they said, what's Geoff doing with this histology stuff? I became isolated from my colleagues. I wasn't doing research. They want to know, what's Geoff doing? It isolated me. You don't have that obstacle because you're working together. And I encourage you to go to your friends in your faculty, each other, and support each other. Do it as a collective group because it will help you get over, you'll come through similar problems. Because you're at different levels, you'll meet different obstacles. You can help each other get over those. So that's a key point that I want to mention.